Happy birthday, Barker.
You see, I'm all
Morning.
decorated. So I have to wear this waistcoat.
Happy birthday, young man.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Royalty. You see how he did it? He's used to doing this. What about it?
Absolutely. And doesn't it sort of, doesn't it make you feel a bit sentimental to see it in that state?
Well, look at naked.
Yeah, but doesn't it? It's such a good shape and everything.
Yeah. And look at your body. Look, 3D engineering have done that, and they're going to make the buck for it.
It wants the radiator further forward.
Oh, excuse me. Where are you, Stuart? The radiator needs to go. Stuart, the radiator needs to go further forward.
And this is the book.
The book.
Now,
This is the book, Steady. I'm going to give it to you, but everyone's got to look at it. Picture of you there.
the one-off book. What a... Oh, God, I feel so embarrassed. I was telling... I'm too old to have butterflies, so I told your wife I got moths. Do you know, I've been looking for one of the pictures. I've searched my house for this picture, and there it is. Isn't it amazing? God, how incredible.
Engine rebuild. Le Mans. The old pits at Le Mans.
What a wonderful book. And look, you have got a, presumably, have you made another copy for yourself?
Eric Clapton when he bought it.
Yes. And yes, you introduced me to him at Goodwood.
Yeah.
And
And there's your sketch.
And there's your sketch.
The Napier at Prescott. So that will be for you, but not at the moment.
Thanks very much, old friend. But I've known him for 103 years. It must be now.
Good morning and welcome to Steady's 92nd birthday preview. But he's got to survive the night.
May not make it.
Right. Many of you will know that I've known this young man since I was 17. And when I passed my driving test, Maurice Smith, who is my squash-playing friend and editor of Autocar, decided that I deserved a treat.
Also, just tell them that about Dresden. He was so important.
All right.
Such a good friend and so important.
This may take an hour if Steady, because once Steady starts to... Maurice Smith was the path who led the bombers to Dresden and destroyed Dresden. Hope there are no Germans here, are there? Anyhow, so he was a great character, and he was the editor of Autocar. And he, as a surprise and a present, he said, Michael, you can drive my DB3 drophead over to Steady Barker's, who is our road test editor. And that's how I met him. And in the garage was this car. Now this car has had a very checkered life. He's crashed it twice.
Once was the late editor of the Autocar, of the motor.
I've crashed it once.
Just died now.
I've crashed it once. I think we've got 3 or 4 other owners here. Jeffrey and Rita. Rita had it once, right? I've had it, and now it's gone to a new owner, but I don't know, he's not here. He's just sent the car. And I'm very pleased to see it here because it needs a lot of work.
Does it?
Yes, it's not in nearly as good condition. Anyhow, at the same time that I met Steady, in the back of the garage was that middle picture of the Astura. And in Steady's inimitable style, it's not the short Astura, which is, because it's an Astura, it is the short Astura.
It went into motorsport because Boddy and I shared the same sort of sense of humour as the short Astura.
And that's a typical
And that's what
Steady.
it's now. Yeah,
And
terrible.
to show you, to repeat what, this is the sort of car, Steady wrote about this car, it's the sort of car that a Frenchman would keep up his back passage, and its name is written in French letters on its radiator. And he got that printed in. So you can see why we have the short Astura. Anyhow, back of the garage, I was there helping him rebuild his Dilambda, and you'll see pictures of the Delambre over here in the little book we produced.
The Napier shot?
No. I've got it all tabulated over there.
So many
The
pictures of
Delambre was a Pininfarina body. And Pininfarina has featured in my life ever since. Because eventually, Steady bought the Mille Astura, which was a very famous car, and he therefore decided he'd sell me the short Astura for £400. And when I was 17, that was a huge amount of money. He's never looked back. He's made a fortune out of investing the money. Anyhow, I then had a young lady in France who I wanted to go and see and spend the summer with, and I decided to go in the short Astura. But I needed a spare wheel. Steady said, in the village, in Oakfield village at Weybridge, there's a car you can buy. So we went and bought the spare wheel for £15, and I hadn't realised I'd actually bought the whole car. All of you, or a lot of you will know that the short Astura took me to France. We came back from France, and while I was in France, Steady went to the Turin Motor Museum, not museum, the Turin show, and there on the Pininfarina stand, he showed Battista the picture of the derelict, long wheelbase Pininfarina Speciale convertible.
What was it, 1938, with a hydraulically operated
hood, the first hydraulically operated in the world.
All pleated leather trim, was absolutely gorgeous, and the decorated sort of chromium strips along the side, all
beautifully engineered tear and turn.
Oh,
it was fantastic. Yeah,
incredible.
So Battista said to Steady, "Bring this car to me, and I will rebuild it for you, free."
But may I just interject there? He said, when your friend has this car, when he's finished the chassis and the car is in running order so that he can drive it down, that was it, wasn't it?
Right. So
I will make the rest of the car like new, at no charge.
So a year later, and in the little book you will see, we rebuilt the engine and we took the roof off because it didn't work. The doors were held on by a wire hawser that went round the whole thing. The car was completely knackered. We drove it to Le Mans because I have a passion for Le Mans, and we picked in the photograph of it in front of the pits. We take it to Italy, and a year later I get a telegram saying, "Mr. Scott, your car is ready for," Italian this is, "your car is ready for collection." We drive down there, and another great friend of Steady's and mine, John Bowman, who's not here, had a Type 57 gangloff-bodied Bugatti.
Type 57, yes, sorry.
Type 57 SC. And so we went down in this car to collect the Astura, and when we arrived at the Pininfarina factory, Battista came out and his jaw dropped. You've come in a more desirable car than your Lancia. And beside him was his latest creation, the 275 GTB4 Ferrari. And he said to me, "Mr. Scott," best Italian,
Signor,
"please do not turn the car over when you wish to empty the ashtray." That was his English, right? Anyhow, so the long and the short of it was I came back to England in the car, had a wonderful few years with it, and you'll all know that I was John Scott and Partners. Well, I'm not. I was part of John Scott and Partners, and as a result of all the help this man had given me, we made him a director, and he was one of the reasons why we were so successful with John Scott and Partners, because Steady knows everybody.
I never lifted a finger, did I, actually?
He introduced me to all the presidents of the club. I insured all of them. Ustinov he introduced me to, John Bolster.
Oh, I must just say that I have driven Peter Ustinov through Weybridge with his son Igor sitting on his lap in this car.
Well, I've driven Prince Michael of Kent in this car. He was sitting on my lap as well. Any road. So Steady helped us build John Scott and Partners up, and unfortunately we sold it in 1993 for $3 million to Aon. I didn't get any of it. However, in 1992, having sold this car because the VSCC wouldn't let me race it because I wasn't a president.
No, they wouldn't let, well, because it had a streamline body.
Because it was a streamline body and it should have had cycle-type wings. So I sold it, and I don't know why I sold it, but I sold it, and the guy who bought it was a club member, and the first thing he did was take the body off and throw it away. 10 years later, Steady bought the car back for some reason.
I was going to do that with it.
And he drew this picture.
What I was going to do with it.
Anyhow, he did nothing. This is coming from me, this is a thing, because I don't do very much. And 10 years later, I bought it back from Steady for £15,000. And I've got the receipts and everything. 15,000. I borrowed it. I borrowed it from Landmark Leasing, right? This car, £15,000, and I paid for it over a 4-year period, right?
Do you know, I didn't know you were having periods at that time. Mike, was it really 50? I'm not a rather.
You distracted me, Steady. In between, Steady and introduced me to a lot of other people, but in particular, I met Eric Clapton. And Eric Clapton bought the Pininfarina car from me in 1976 for £10,800. Well, that was a house. And my brother John nicked the lot.
You said how much?
£10,800.
Well, how much did I charge you for that?
15,000. I got the receipt here. Different car, Steady.
What have you got?
Yeah, different car.
What?
Anyhow, so I buy it back in 1992.
It's worth nothing.
Well, exactly. We didn't have the money back then. In 1992, I bought it back, and I got ill in 1993. And I'd been shuffling it around England in people's garages, been in a field, and suddenly, this end of December last year, my son, is he here? He's quite tall, and my daughter, Zoe, they said, when are you going to do something about this car? If you don't do it soon, Steady will be dead and you'll be dead. So we decided, we hatched a plot. Meanwhile, Steady had given up on me because I was considered to be his boyfriend when I was 17. Right? Sam Clapton and Richard Merritt and Steady Barker and Michael Scott.
They thought we were gay, a gay pair.
Well, I can actually tell you straight, I don't want to put mine to rest. There are not many people who can say that they've had a Scott sandwich. We were on a trip in the De Lambda to Italy, which I won't go into because it'd take all day, and with my elder brother Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to sleep in a bed together, the three of us. He was the sandwich. How do you stand for money, Richard Ianson? Touching your toes. Where are you, Richard? Richard was on a trip around Istanbul or somewhere in his Humber, and he broke down, and a lorry driver gave him a lift, and when he got to the first lunch stop, the lorry driver said, "How about it? Drop the trousers." He had to tell him not to. Anyhow, that's an aside. Richard.
I can sleep some cars. Well, I was on a solo.
That's the phone.
Never.
Right. Anyhow, so Steady and I did sleep together with my elder brother.
No memory of that at all, which means it must have been very disappointing.
I became really upset with Steady because he actually found another boy. Where are you, Wayne?
Poor Wayne.
Wayne, come here.
Wayne, your reputation will go to nothing.
Come on. Wayne lived nearer to Steady than I do. I live in London. And he has looked after Steady along with Keith Bowley. Where's Keith? Keith have done a wonderful job looking after this geriatric cowboy.
Well, I've helped. I've looked after them a bit too.
Anyhow, Wayne looked after him and has been absolutely wonderful. And Steady helped them set up this business 4 years ago. And he kept saying, come and meet Wayne, he's a brilliant engineer, and he's got a ghastly partner. Sorry, he's got a partner who's got a very nice pad. And that's Steady's Salmanazar Renault. And Simon, are you here?
Yeah, somewhere.
Come here. Please. Is this your house?
Yeah.
You're under arrest. And John Scott and Partners gave Steady a Salman Azar to celebrate the birthday of that car. Right. A Salman Azar is 13 or 14 bottles of champagne, all in one. And he didn't give me a drop. So Wayne...
Renault, I'd opened up the engine of that Renault from 9.1 to 9.8 litres, which is why we thought, well, they didn't give, well, you gave me how many litres was it?
I don't know how many litres a Salman Azar is.
One of the biggest you could get, that was one of the biggest cars.
Anyhow, so
Wayne... 8 to the gallon.
8 to the gallon.
On a good day.
So Wayne has started this business, and Steady kept saying, I want you to come and meet Wayne and Simon. And I said, yes, they've started a panel shop.
May I just say, excuse me interjecting.
No.
Wayne met Michael, I think, at the first, 3 years ago, the first of your Chelsea.
Oh, yeah.
This man organises these wonderful charity gatherings of cars for the Chelsea pensioners. And we went down...
15 quid.
We went down with Wayne and a couple of others with chaps here.
And they brought us...
Simon and Danny.
Yeah. Anyhow, so I met Wayne then. I didn't take a notice of him because he said another panel bistro. Have we got another panel? Is there Rourke here? Is he gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Panel beaters, everywhere, aren't they? Anyhow, eventually, last year, I thought, right, let us come and meet them. And I came and met them. And when I walked in here and I saw sliding pillars, sliding pillars, sliding pillars, sliding pillars, I thought, this is where the car has to come to.
It's quite near your lunch hour.
My lunch hour?
No, very good. Sorry.
So what I did was, I came down here with Guy, and they quoted the price. And if you can leave any small change, or large change. However, I read in a magazine an article about 3D engineers. And I rang up Stuart, who is here. So where is he? There we are. And I said, I'm doing this body for a car, and I've got a sketch of it from an old fart, a friend of mine. I want to make a body for it. Can you help? He said yes.
I think he said no first.
No, he said yes. And then I said, just give me an indication of what it would cost. I said, hello, wrong number. Anyhow, unbeknown to me, I came down here and I said to Simon, I said, there's a guy who makes bodies or does something very clever with bodies. And he got the innovation with the Year Award for technical expertise, and he's endorsed it. And Simon said, he's been here already. Anyhow, long and the short of it is, we now have, thanks to Simon and Stuart, the BOAC. I don't know quite what BOAC means, but the BOAC.
It's something you pass.
Something you pass, exactly, yeah.
As a change of water, you pass the BOAC.
This is like a stool.
Well, you go and sit on it.
Anyhow, so we now have this amazing BOAC picture. We now have, and then we got on with the chassis and
the chassis.
The chassis. I can't see the workers. Oh, there they are. I've got to try and remember Danny, Jason, and Kevin. Could they have their hands up? 1, 2. Where's the third? Thank you both, all three of you, very much. You've done a stunning job in no time at all, and we're on the way for the rebuild. So.
Can I tell just one?
Steady, it's your birthday. You can do what you.
When you look at this chassis, this was a long wheelbase limousine, and when you look at the chassis, what we did was to cut half the cruciform out and sort of weld the.
I didn't know you were religious, Steady.
What?
Cruciform.
Oh yeah, very much so. And I was then working for British Messier under the great Hugh Conway. And my boss, the works manager of British Messier, we made all the hydraulics and the undercarriages. We worked on all except one of the V-bombers. We were totally connected on a daily basis with the Britannia before it ever flew. And I used to go up in this thing when it was a limousine and deliver bits to English Electric Light, you know, for the lightning at Wharton. And Jack French was my boss, and he was also, as a sideline, he was a great tuner of Austin 7s, a great Austin 7 man, but also he understood about camshafts and also handling. And he said, if you just strip the body off and then join it up like that, he said, you'll probably get terrible oversteer. He said, what you ought to do is to sink it in the middle, like this, you see, so that there are two things about this. It brings your bum nearer the ground, so you don't have such much resistance. And also, by sloping the rear springs down towards the front. I mean, I didn't understand this, and I don't know any of you people are technical. We haven't got Charles Bulmer here anymore, what a shame. But he said that should enormously improve its handling. So that is why it has the kink. That's all I want to say.
That's why it's kinky.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so this big saloon that Steady bought from the chief engineer of British Overseas Air, BOAC, he then went for an interview with the Autocar people, and he didn't think he'd done very well in the interview, but he went downstairs afterwards with them all to the pub, and there was this limousine. And they saw...
No, it was a short...
No, shut up. He went there. Anyhow, he got the job. So this...
No, it was shortened by then.
Oh, right, sorry.
This is the great thing about it, that car shortened as a sports car, exactly as you see it there racing. I went to the Autocar on that because it was my everyday car. And they said I was 10 years older than the man they were looking for, and I got no experience other than editing the vintage bulletin. So very unlikely. But then we all came out of the back door of Dorset House, because there's a pub opposite where we always had a couple of pints before driving back because the traffic was so awful. And I think all the staff, the editor and all the staff of the Autocar were just amazed to see this car, and then to find out it was mine. So I think it wasn't a limousine.
No.
It wasn't a limousine.
Yes, and of course I was joking.
Sorry, I didn't
Right.
realise.
I'm going to stop very soon because I'm thirsty, and I'm sure everybody else is.
It's actually Saturday.
It's Thursday. So I'm now going to round up. Thank you for hosting this event, Simon and Wayne.
No problem.
Thank you, engineering youngsters and olders, for preparing the whole place to make it look so fantastic. Thank you for all the work you've done on the car. Thank you for the chefs who are going to do lunch for 20. Are there 20 of you here? And who else did I have to thank? I just want to tell you something else. One of the things, because I'm trying to put a lot of stuff into my last year or two, I've formed the International Guild of Specialist Engineers. And you will be hearing an awful lot about this guild. It's basically, I have the belief that racing mechanics and racing engineers are not treated properly at race meetings. They work all night on a car rebuilding it, and they get sent to the burger bar, where the owners of the cars are lauding it up with the sponsors and the event organisers. And I've decided that it's time something was done about it, and they should be looked after properly at race meetings. And also, they work so hard during the year, especially during the race season, that they actually don't get a lot of time on their hands. So we're putting on events in the off-season where they can actually socialise and visit others' workshops and discuss bad clients, innovations, and all the things that they might like to do. Because the guys I'm talking about, when I started the guild in 1988, before I got ill, they were pretty well ensconced and established people. They're now millionaires, or some of them are. They've done incredibly well, but I really want to make sure that this industry, which is called old cars, is £6.4 billion a year. There are 28,000 people working in the industry. There are 870,000 pre-1980 cars. So it's a massive industry, and what we want to do is we want to set up apprenticeship schemes, we want to do all the things that should be done for the people who we all love. So, I drink a toast to Steady, happy birthday, congratulations Wayne and Simon, and now prepare yourself for an hour's discussion. Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, happy birthday to you!
You probably realise I'm absolutely overwhelmed. I really had no forecast of this at all, did I? I only knew within the last couple of days. I didn't know that so many old friends are going to be invited and everything else. But just before I fall into tears, burst into tears, you do, I just have to tell you something to make you laugh a little bit that I read only the other day
For that.
about Elizabeth Taylor. This thing said she wasn't promiscuous, it was just that she married everyone she slept with. Anyhow, thank you very much.